A very good morning to all our viewers. You're watching Rajya Sabha Television and I am Smriti Rastogi with Breakfast News. And first, let's take a quick look at the top headlines. Trivendra Singh Rawat to take oath as the new Chief Minister of Uttarakhand. Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Amit Shah to attend ceremony in Dehradun today. BJP legislature party meeting in Uttar Pradesh to choose next Chief Minister. Swearing in ceremony likely on Sunday. President says there should be no room for intolerance and prejudice in educational institutions. Says institutes must be flag bearers of coexistence of multiple views. US President Donald Trump claims German Chancellor Angela Merkel was also wiretapped by Obama administration. Statement after two leaders meet at the White House. And India trailed by 323 runs with 9 wickets in hand on day 3 of the Ranchi Test. 4-match series is levelled 1-all. And first, the top story of the day. Trivendra Singh Rawat will take oath today as the 8th Chief Minister of Uttarakhand. Rawat was chosen on Friday as the BJP legislature party leader. Governor KK Paul has invited him to form the new government and will administer the oath of office to him. The ceremony will take place at the parade ground in Dehradun today at 3 p.m. Prime Minister Narendra Modi and BJP President Amit Shah will attend the ceremony. A former RSS activist was nearly 20 years. Rawat won the Dhoewala Assembly seat for the third time in the recently concluded Uttarakhand Assembly elections. He is also in charge of BJP's Jharkhand unit and is considered close to BJP President Amit Shah. BJP scored a massive victory in the Assembly elections, winning 57 of the 70 Assembly seats.
श्री प्रकाश पंत जी और हमारे नवनिर्वाचित विधायक श्री सतपाल जी महाराज, हमारे दोनों नेताओं ने विधायक दल के नेता के नेतृत्व श्री त्रिवेंद्र सिंह रावत जी का नाम प्रस्तावित किया
कि भारतीय जनता पार्टी उत्तराखंड की सरकार ये पारदर्शी सरकार होगी, ये ईमानदारी से चलने वाली सरकार होगी। हम भ्रष्टाचार मुक्त विकास ये उत्तराखंड को देंगे।
Meanwhile, the BJP will hold a legislature party meeting of its newly elected MLAs in Uttar Pradesh to elect the new Chief Minister of the state. The meeting is scheduled to take place at 5 p.m. in Lucknow. The party won 3/4 majority in the 403-member assembly and is returning to power after 14 years. Party's central observers, Union Minister M. Venkaiah Naidu and National General Secretary Bhupendra Yadav will also be present at the meeting. The oath-taking ceremony for the crucial state is scheduled to take place on Sunday. And all BJP national leaders, including the Prime Minister and BJP President Amit Shah, are likely to attend the ceremony.
The newly elected BJP MLAs in Uttar Pradesh will meet to elect their legislature party leader. The meeting is expected to be attended by central observers Venkaiah Naidu and Bhupendra Yadav. The new Chief Minister, along with his cabinet, will take oath at a ceremony on Sunday at the Smriti Upwan, Lucknow.
इतना काम जरूर करूंगा कि जो भी तय हो जाएगा उन सबको मैं परसों 5 बजे शपथ देने का काम करूंगा.
According to media reports, senior BJP leader and Union Minister Manoj Sinha is the front runner for the post of Chief Minister in the state, although Sinha, who represents the Ghazipur seat in the Lok Sabha, has denied knowledge of the development so far. Speculation has also focused on Union Ministers Rajnath Singh, Smriti Irani, Mahesh Sharma and Kalraj Mishra for the Chief Minister's post. Other names include Lucknow Mayor Dinesh Sharma, National BJP spokesperson Shrikant Sharma, Gorakhpur MP Yogi Adityanath and State BJP Chief Keshav Prasad Maurya.
सीएम आपको कल 4 बजे तक आपको बता दिया जाएगा विधायक दल की बैठक में कि सीएम कौन होगा। उसके पहले बताने से ये होगा कि विधायक दल की बैठक का महत्व खत्म हो जाता है।
केंद्रीय नेतृत्व उत्तर प्रदेश के बारे में जो भी फैसला लेगा सभी लोग उस फैसले के साथ में हैं। उत्तर प्रदेश में विकास और सुशासन की स्थापना अब लक्ष्य है।
All 312 MLAs of the BJP have been told to be present in the state capital on Sunday. Along with allies, the BJP has 325 MLAs in a house of 403 representatives. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha Television.
Meanwhile, to mark its thumping victory in the recently concluded Uttar Pradesh elections, the Bharatiya Janata Party will today celebrate Vijay Divas in the state. Party workers would be celebrating the day at a booth level throughout UP. Top BJP leadership, including Prime Minister Narendra Modi, Party President Amit Shah and Home Minister Rajnath Singh are likely to take part in the celebrations. The event might also possibly witness the participation of all the MPs, MLAs and office bearers of the party. The Bharatiya Janata Party is making its comeback in Uttar Pradesh after a gap of 14 years. The first cabinet meeting of the newly sworn-in Amrinder Singh government will take place in Punjab today. The issue of farmers' loans is expected to be taken up during the meeting. The Congress had campaigned on the promise of debt waiver. The cabinet is expected to set up a committee of experts to assess the total agricultural loan which the government proposes to waive. This amounts to around 35,000 crore rupees. The cabinet meeting will also authorize the government to come up with a white paper on the state of finances that the Congress government has inherited. The opposition Congress on Friday upped the ante against the government over the formation of government in Goa. Congress members alleged breach of propriety in the state, a charge strongly refuted by the government. The Congress also forced a brief adjournment during 0 hour. Take a look.
The government formation in Goa resonated again in the upper house on Friday. Congress leader Digvijay Singh tendered a notice under Rule 267 to take up the discussion on the Goa governor's conduct in inviting the BJP to form the government in the state. Leader of opposition Ghulam Nabi Azad and CPIM leader Sitaram Yechuri also sought to question the government on the issue.
Under Rule 267, where I have requested that the proceedings of the listed business of the House should be suspended because a gross constitutional impropriety has been committed by the Governor of Goa. Sir, I would like to put Sir, I would like to bring it to your notice.
He has not raised the issue about the conduct of the governor. He has said what the governor has said in an interview. First of all, she has said that I did not expected BJP to form the government. If she did not expected BJP to form the government, that is her opinion. But simultaneously, she is saying that I spoke with the leader of the House, the finance minister, at 9:30 and asked him whether I should form the government.
Sir, you say that yes, the minister is answerable to the House.
Yeah.
Yes, separate notice will be given.
Yeah.
When that will be given, it will be accepted and the minister will have to answer.
No problem.
We should
Let the
answer.
motion be given. Let them do, yes.
Deputy Chairman PJ Kurian, however, disallowed Digvijay Singh's notice and asserted that a governor's conduct can only be discussed after a substantive motion is allowed.
I have to only caution you on one point.
Yes, sir.
See, you know the rules.
I know the rules.
That a governor can be discussed here only on the basis of a substantive motion,
Sir, correct.
not on 267.
Correct.
Therefore, the 267 I cannot allow.
MOS Parliamentary Affairs Mukhtar Abbas Naqvi hailed the chair's assertion and accused the Congress of insulting the people's verdict and also the chair's ruling.
आपने ruling दे दिया कि if they want discussion, they can bring a substantive motion. Then they are questioning your ruling, number one. पहले तो जनता के जनादेश पे क्वेश्चन, फिर आपकी रूलिंग पे क्वेश्चन, फिर देश के लोगों के जनादेश का अपमान। तो हमारी इनसे रिक्वेस्ट ये है कि अगर ये हाउस नहीं चलाना चाहते, हर दिन हाउस में डिस्टर्ब करना चाहते हैं, तो वो बता दें, हम उस तरह से व्यवस्था करेंगे। लेकिन हाउस और जनता के पैसे का हम जो है वो इस तरह से पानी में डालने नहीं देंगे।
Congress members, however, continued their tirade against the government and trooped into the well of the House. The chair then adjourned the House till noon. Kriti Mishra's report for Rajya Sabha TV.
On to some more news. The issue of conducting simultaneous polls for Lok Sabha and the state assemblies has come to the fore yet again. BJP MP Bhupendra Yadav's resolution on the issue was listed for the day's business in Rajya Sabha, but the resolution could not be presented in the House on Friday. Almost all parties have agreed that it's an ideal arrangement, but have raised doubts over its implementation. In recent times, the President, the Prime Minister and the Niti Aayog too have emphasized the need for simultaneous polls. The resolution pushes for simultaneous polls for both the centre and the states, adding that it will save expenditure. The resolution says that this will also resolve the issue of fake voters and talks about the merits of e-ballot and e-voting, which will include NRI voters. The resolution also aims at linking voters' list to Aadhaar.
I do want the whole country to have the elections at a time, because it is a huge monumental loss, monetary loss for the country. So if it is the simultaneously the Lok Sabha elections as well as the assembly elections, if it is conducted together, it will be a great, it will be a good move that the country moves forward.
ये नारा लगाना बड़ा अच्छा होता है कि देश में एक बार चुनाव होना चाहिए, विधानसभा का, लोकसभा को, देश को में एक बार लोगों को देश चलाने का जो है मैंडेट मिलना चाहिए। ये सब बातें नारों की होते हैं, व्यवहारिकता नीचे है। चल रहे हैं नारे, आजकल नारों से सरकारें बन रही हैं, तो इसके माने ठीक है।
तो ये व्यवहारिक नहीं है, इनका दरअसल ये डेमोक्रेसी को कमज़ोर करना चाहते हैं। ये टू पार्टी सिस्टम अमेरिका के नक्शे कदम पर चलने वाली मंशा इसके पीछे लगती है।
We think it is not feasible to hold simultaneous elections, because India is a country where you have diverse political situations in states as well as at national level, and you cannot impose one election, simultaneous election on the country or on the people. It is
साइमल्टेनियस इलेक्शन संभव नहीं है पार्लियामेंट्री सिस्टम में, क्योंकि पार्लियामेंट्री सिस्टम में जो सरकार है वो हाउस को आंसरेबल होती है, और जिस दिन वो बहुमत खो जाए उसी दिन रिज़ाइन करना पड़ता है। तो साइमल्टेनियस इलेक्शन से तो जो अकाउंटेबिलिटी है पार्लियामेंट्री सिस्टम ऑफ गवर्नेंस की, वो समाप्त हो जाएगी।
Meanwhile, the union government has issued an advisory to all states to ensure 33% reservation for women in police force. Home Minister Rajnath Singh said this during the discussion on the demands for grants for the Home Ministry in Lok Sabha. Singh also said that states have already started work in this direction.
सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट से रिलेटेड जो फोर्सेस हैं उनके लिए तो जो आदेश मुझे जारी करना था वो तो आदेश मैंने जारी किया है, लेकिन उसके अतिरिक्त हमारे जितने भी राज्य हैं उनके मुख्यमंत्रियों को मैंने एक एडवाइजरी भी जारी की है कि पुलिस फोर्स हो अथवा कोई भी फोर्स हो, उसमें कम से कम 33% महिलाओं का रिजर्वेशन होना चाहिए, और मैं यह कह सकता हूं कि इस दिशा में तेजी के साथ अब प्रगति हो रही है।
And with that, it's time for a very short break. More news and updates to follow. Stay with us.
From cowries to metal pieces, Indian currency has seen many changes. The earliest punch-marked coins came from Gandhar. The East India Company at the turn of the 19th century also minted its own coins. The Indo-Greek coins come from a colony left behind by Alexander. They depict the golden rule of the Guptas, with embossed human portraits and matrimonial alliances like Chandragupta Maurya's wedding with Seleucus I Nicator's daughter.
Welcome back. President Pranab Mukherjee has flagged the issue of frequent disruptions in Parliament. Addressing a conclave organized by India Today news publication group in Mumbai, he said it was difficult for him to stand and watch the fundamental pillar of Indian democracy being rendered ineffective. The president said, in his view, there was absolutely no justification for the constant disruptions of proceedings, low level of attendance and the irresponsible manner in which important legislations, including the budget and financial proposals, get passed with hardly any discussion. Mukherjee urged both the ruling party and the opposition to break this vicious cycle of disruptions and disorderly behavior. He also appealed to the political leadership across the spectrum to arrive at an agreement that all protest and airing of grievances would be undertaken in a manner that the functioning of the parliament and legislatures are not disrupted. Meanwhile, President Pranab Mukherjee on Friday also said that the educational institutes should act as a flag bearers for coexistence of multiple views and that there should be no room for intolerance, prejudice and hatred in them. Addressing a special convocation of the University of Mumbai, the President said that higher education sector had a crucial role in national developmental effort, adding that the courses in the campuses must be aligned to the needs of the industry. He also encouraged free conversation, saying that even argument should be embraced, leaving behind narrow mindsets and thoughts. On the occasion, President Mukherjee conferred Honorary Doctor of Law to famous agriculture scientist M.S. Swaminathan, praising him for his pioneering efforts in the Green Revolution ushered in 1960s. And moving on, Pakistan on Friday conveyed to India that it was seriously pursuing with its law enforcement agencies the case of 2 missing Indian clerics. Pakistani Foreign Office spokesman Nafiz Zakaria said that it has no clue so far about the missing clerics, including the 60-year-old head priest of the New Delhi's Hazrat Nizamuddin Dargah. However, the son of the Nizamuddin Dargah head priest pleaded that his father be released as he is not involved in any activity that should invite any action. Earlier, External Affairs Minister Sushma Swaraj said that the Indian government has taken up the matter with Pakistan. In a series of tweets, Swaraj said that Saeed Asif Nizami and his nephew Nazim Nizami went missing after they landed at Karachi airport. Saeed Asif Nizami is the head priest of Hazrat Nizamuddin Aulia Dargah. The two had gone to visit the famous Data Darbar Shrine in Lahore and were to catch a flight to Karachi on Wednesday. The clerics had gone to Karachi to meet their relatives on 8th of March before travelling to Lahore to visit the shrine.
दिन उनकी फ्लाइट थी, शाम को कराची की जाना था उनको और उसके बाद से कोई फोन पे कांटेक्ट ही नहीं, उनका स्विच ऑफ आ रहा है और कोई पता नहीं। बाकी हमें अपनी सरकार से उम्मीद है पूरी, सुषमा जी जो है अभी जैसे न्यूज पे देखा मैंने कि बात चल रही है अभी और पूरी उम्मीद है कि हमें
देखिए सरकार की तरफ से जहाँ तक ये संबंधित मंत्रालय हैं वो पूरा अपनी तरफ से काम कर रहे हैं और सरकार इस तरह के काम में ये चीज़ें जो हैं डाइवर्ज नहीं होती है, लेकिन सरकार अपना मुस्तैदी से पूरा का पूरा इसमें कार्रवाई कर रही है।
Meanwhile, a special NIA court on Friday summoned 13 Pakistani witnesses for deposing before it in connection with the 2007 Samjhauta Express blast case. According to the National Investigation Agency, Pakistani witnesses are required to attend the trial court at Panchkula in Haryana from July 4th onwards. The summons to the witness will be sent through the Ministry of Home Affairs and Ministry of External Affairs. As per the laid down procedure, the summons will be sent to the Indian High Commission in Islamabad, which will hand over them to the Pakistani Foreign Ministry. The trial in this case is in advanced stage and the court proceedings regarding the 249 witnesses have been completed out of the total 299 witnesses. The National Investigation Agency has filed a charge sheet against several people, including former RSS activist Swami Asimanand, who recently walked free in the Ajmer Dargah blast case. 68 people were charred to death in the blast in the 2 coaches of Samjhauta Express in Panipat on 18th February 2007. And India and Russia have signed two key agreements for long-term maintenance and technical support for Russian-made Sukhoi 30 MKI fighter jets of the Indian Air Force. Currently, the Indian Air Force operates around 230 Sukhoi 30 MKI fighter jets. As per the agreements, Russian defense majors, United Aircraft Corporation and the United Engine Corporation will render technical support and provide maintenance services and spares for the fleet for a period of 5 years. The pacts were signed between the India's Hindustan Aeronautic Limited and two Russian companies in the presence of Defense Minister Arun Jaitley and Russia's Industry and Trade Minister Denis Manturov. The agreements were signed at a conference on the Indian-Russian military and industrial cooperation. And on to some news from the US, where German Chancellor Angela Merkel met US President Donald Trump at the White House. The meeting raised eyebrows due to the awkward body language of the two leaders and a quip by Donald Trump about wiretapping that left the German leader visibly bewildered. Friday's meeting was the first between the new US president and the long-serving stateswoman who leads Europe's largest economy. The two leaders shared different views on trade, Russia and immigration. Though Merkel appeared relaxed, the body language between them was not specially warm. The two leaders discussed key issues including NATO and trade. At the joint conference, the two took pains to downplay differences that were hard to mask. At the end of the conference, Trump told visiting German Chancellor, "At least we have something in common," perhaps referring to being wiretapped under Obama administration, a remark that drew a quizzical look from Merkel. It is noteworthy that US intelligence agencies under Obama reportedly monitored Merkel's phone, but both Republican and Democratic congressional leaders have said they do not believe Trump was wiretapped.
After these claims are rejected, what is your take on that? Are there other suspects, or do you think it was a mistake to blame British intelligence for this? And by the way, my second question, are there from time to time tweets that you regret in hindsight?
Very seldom.
Very seldom,
Very
and
seldom.
you would have, so you never would have
Very
wished
seldom.
not to have
Probably
tweeted
wouldn't be here
something.
right now, but so very seldom. We have a tremendous group of people that listen, and I can get around the media when the media doesn't tell the truth, so I like that. As far as wiretapping, I guess, by this past administration, at least we have something in common, perhaps.
And on to some more international news. US Secretary of State Rex Tillerson has arrived in China for the final leg of his first official trip to Asia. He is expected to meet President Xi Jinping, Premier Li Keqiang, State Councillor Yang Jiechi and Foreign Minister Yang Yi. On his two-day visit, he is expected to deal with a number of issues that threaten to derail the world's most important bilateral relationship. Tillerson will seek China's help in containing North Korea and push China on its disputed claims over the South China Sea. A top official of the United Nations Commission who published a report describing Israel's treatment of Palestinians as apartheid has quit. The official, Rima Khalaf, a Jordan diplomat, defended the report that said that Israel was using apartheid-style practices on Palestinians. New UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres acted quickly to distance the UN from the report, which was compiled by the Economic and Social Commission for Western Asia at the request of the 18 Arab countries. Rima Khalaf tendered her resignation on Friday, saying Guterres insisted that she withdraw the report. The report had provoked outrage from Israel and the United States. The US, under Donald Trump, has made it quite clear it will defend Israel, perhaps more than all other countries at the United Nations.
بممارسة ضغوط هائلة على الأمين العام للأمم المتحدة للتنصل من التقرير وأن يطلبوا منه سحبه. وقد أصدر الأمين العام للأمم المتحدة تعليماته لي صباح الأمس بسحبه.
And dozens of Somali refugees were killed off the coast of Yemen after a helicopter attacked the boat they were traveling in. According to AFP news agency, 42 bodies have been recovered so far and 80 refugees were rescued after the incident. The refugees, reportedly carrying official UN Refugee Agency documents, were on their way from Yemen to Sudan when they were attacked late on Thursday by an Apache helicopter. It remains unclear who carried out the attack. UNHCR officials said that people in the boat may have been trying to escape deteriorating conditions in Yemen, which has been engulfed by the civil war as well as famine.
طبعا هؤلاء الذي تم استهدافهم في عرض البحر وكانوا متجهين من مخيم خرز في راس العارة إلى السودان، كانوا لديهم وثائق رسمية، وإنما كان استهدافهم بطريقة عبثية ولا يوجد أي احترام للإنسانية.
And on to some sports news. In the Ranchi Test, Murali Vijay and Cheteshwar Pujara continue India's strong reply against Australia on day 3 after resuming their first innings at the overnight score of 120 for 1. On the second day, KL Rahul led India's response with his 4th half-century of the series. Rahul and Murali Vijay put on a 91-run stand for the opening wicket before Rahul was caught out for 67 runs. Earlier, the Indian bowling, led by Ravindra Jadeja's second 5-wicket haul of the series, helped dismiss Australia for 451. The tourists were led by captain Steve Smith, who remained unbeaten on 178. And that's all we have for you in this edition of Breakfast News. See you again tomorrow, same time. Till then, keep watching Rajya Sabha TV.